Alrighty, let me turn on the light. So this video is going to be entirely about the banned and restricted announcement from today. It's now 9:40 CET, Central European Time. I'm not sure what time this announcement was made, but I'm reading it now for the first time. I haven't read through it from top to bottom. I know there's a lot of explanation coming up here as well, from Wizards of the Coast, but I'm just going to go through the cards that were banned, just so you quickly haven't, if you haven't read or heard, you just quickly can know which cards were banned. You can already see it on the screen right now, so you already got the info. But I'm just going to give my own thoughts on this, and yeah. So I'm not going to make this video too long, but just share my first thoughts with you and kind of also spread the news that this has happened. So I haven't played a single game in this new meta yet. Haven't had a chance to yet, so here we go. Let's go straight into it. So the first thing I see is that way more cards than I had expected were banned. I had expected, or most of us had expected, Monstrous Rage. That was like the obvious one. And then a lot of people, I guess, or myself, I can't really speak for for anyone. I can only speak for myself. I knew that they had also the Steel Cutter, the Abuelo, the Beanstalk, even potentially the Nightmare, and this town ain't big enough on their radar. I did not expect them to ban them all. Absolutely not. So that happened. And I'm pretty happy about it. So let's go take a look at them one by one. Corey Steel Cutter, this is the engine, or one of the main engines in the Prowess deck. Just insane value. You just stuff a lot of cantrips in the deck and just create a bunch of 2/2s. And not only are they, a bunch of 1/1s. Not only are they 1/1s, they have prowess, right? So they also grow every time. So every time you play cheap spells, you not only increase the width of your board, you also increase the size. So it's just a win-win all over the place. It's difficult to deal with. You almost always get value out of it because you play it on turn 3 ideally, so you always get at least a 1/1 out of it. So that's that's the reason for getting rid of that one. Abuelo's Awakening is the other big deck, at least in Arena Best of 1, which is what I play mostly. This card, this deck, the Azorius Omniscience deck, is also pretty widespread, has a high win rate. It's one of the only decks that can really keep up with mono red. In the Pro Tour, it wasn't in the top 8, but it was definitely around, and I think it probably ended, at least one of the lists ended up close to top 8. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so they're taking this one out of the picture immediately as well, probably because they don't want it to become the next offender and the next, overpowered deck. In best of 3, I think there's actually quite good options to deal with this, in the form of just the Ghost Vacuum, for example, which can be added in the sideboard for any deck, but they decided that they still don't want this around. So that's fine by me. It was a very one-sided, let's say, or non-interactive combo deck. The opponent either has counters to deal with it or graveyard hate. Otherwise, it's just game over. Or they don't find it because it's the 4 Abuelos are on the bottom end, or the very end of their deck, shuffled to the bottom. That's the only kind of scenario. So yeah, they took this one out in the process. now comes the mono red part, Monstrous Rage, the one that was everybody agrees on. The big problem with this is that it gives a permanent 1/1 +1/+1. Not only just plus the 1/0, it gives +1/+1. So it even adds a point in the toughness, which can also sometimes be even enough to protect the creature from removal by giving it more toughness. And then it also permanently adds trample to the creature. And that's exactly the problem. I think that's the biggest problem of Monstrous Rage, and it has been discussed by others as well and mentioned, and most of the community, I would say, agree on this one. The trample is the thing that is the most problematic. It makes blocking almost useless. Chump blocking for sure. It makes chump blocking useless. It makes blocking very much less useful. The blocking creature just gets eaten up as well, and damage still gets through, depending on the toughness of the creature. So yeah, and then it's permanent stays on the creature. That creature continues to have trample, and other pump spells can then capitalize off that as well. So that's the big offender. It's been annoying. Whenever you duress a mono red player, Monstrous Rage, if you see it, you take it. So that's kind of obvious. I'm glad they also tackled the Heartfire Hero, because this card, for a 1-drop, it has the 2 abilities which are strong. It grows every single turn, because mono red is good at targeting, of course, so it does need a little bit support to do that, but Manifold Mouse is the best support in that regard, as well as Monstrous Rage, but any other pump spell can do the same, or even the red land, which gives +1/+0 and haste. So it grows every turn, but not only that, when it dies, and if it grows, the bigger it grows, the more damage it's going to deal when it dies to the opponent's face. So for a 1-drop, that's just a lot of things that it does very efficiently and cost effectively. So it's usually 1 red mana and it deals 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of damage. 1 attack, 2 attacks, 1 pump, die. So there's a lot of triggers where it deals damage. So there you go. Mono red, let's see how mono red can keep up next. Now, are they going to find replacement tools, or are they going to drop a little bit lower tiered? We shall see. Now, this one is a little bit surprising. I know it's been mentioned, and it was mentioned by Wizards of the Coast, I think, in the last announcement. But even if it wasn't, I'm not sure, then still this card was definitely, we all knew that it was an option, because it's just such great card advantage. Putting this in the right deck with cards that have a mana value of 5 or greater, but have a reduced cost, like the Avatars or the Leyline Binding, those decks can really take advantage of this. And the biggest problem, or one, I'm not sure, but in my opinion, the big problem here is that this card even draws a card when it enters on its own. And I think that's the problem. If it didn't have that effect, I'm not sure if a banning would be really required. However, because it already replaces itself, even if the opponent immediately removes it with a Get Lost or any other enchantment removal, the opponent already made a deficit. So that's the problem, in my opinion. Not really the draw card with the mana value 5 or greater. Also, maybe because it says whenever you cast a spell with mana cost 5 or greater, not when it enters the battlefield. So that's another, it triggers even when a counter happens or something like that. So not even that can help. So yeah, I think mainly it's because it replaces itself, which makes it even stronger than it should be. So yeah, Wizards of the Coast being proactive here. I think they really wanted to shake up the format a little bit, and take a lot of the decks which have been around for a while out of the picture. So this one maybe just ensuring that the Avatar domain deck isn't gonna take over the meta after or immediately after the ban. So we shall see. And then we have actually the self-bounce package getting tackled as well. The Hopeless Nightmare. And the reason they did this is, from what I understand, is that what Wizard of the Coast and players generally complained about is cards that really don't allow for any kind of interaction. And this one is kind of, if this one is recurred and repeatedly played for only 1 black mana, you know, the opponent constantly has to discard cards. And discarding cards means you just never get to play them. So if you Hopeless Nightmare enough, and the opponent maybe plays 1 or 2 things, a land, a permanent, another permanent, and then you, by the time you've Hopeless a couple of times, their opening hand is just gone already. And they're in top deck mode, and then you're not, and then you have you just need to answer a couple of threats that they may have already been able to deploy, and then you're in the advantage. So I think that's kind of the thinking behind this. I think I'm not too sure about this one, to be honest. The self-bounce deck never really felt like it's overpowered. Felt pretty good. Maybe it wasn't overpowered because the red deck just kept it in check. And the Wizard of the Coast is also afraid that with the red deck out of the picture, that this self-bounce deck would immediately follow suit and or follow its footsteps and become the next OP deck. So they also started to tackle those as well. Town ain't big enough, same thing. I think this is part of Is It as well. And the self-bounce deck, the Dimir self-bounce or Esper self-bounce. So yeah, this town ain't big enough. Very, very high value. Only 1 blue and 1 colorless mana if you played in the right package. For bouncing 2 things, you bounce your own thing, which you can replay, and then you also take out something from the opponent, maybe something expensive where they spent their whole turn to play it. This card on paper seems really fair, actually. It doesn't really look overpowered. I think this one in the beginning, when it was printed, nobody would say like, "Wow, this is going to be OP. This is going to get banned." But yeah, this effect of, you know, bouncing one of your own things, bouncing some of your opponent's things for just 1 blue and 1 colorless. I mean, when I play against this card, yeah, whenever I play against the self-bounce decks, this is the card I'm looking to counter or the card I'm looking to get out of their hand. So it's a little bit of a, like, hidden gem, I would say, or how to put this. It's a little bit in the background, but it's the engine of these decks. So I guess they wanted to make sure that the self-bounce things don't go out of hand immediately after the whole ban situation. So yeah, Standard is getting an overhaul. I'm very excited to see what the new meta is going to be like. I haven't played a game yet. I'm going to play one after. And yeah, let's see what, pretty excited. So it's a whole new world and whole new environment we're going to jump into. Okay, but let's also take a look at a few other announcements. So Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Pauper, no changes. Alchemy, the Corey Steel Cutter only, so none of the other mono red cards. I'm not too familiar with Alchemy, so I think maybe the other mono red cards have already been rebalanced. I'm not sure. So Alchemy, I'm a little bit out of the picture, so maybe if somebody is in the balance there and or knows about that format better, leave a comment. Maybe you can explain a little bit about the Corey Steel Cutter and Alchemy, but it's pending rebalance, so it's going to be rebalanced, and for now it's only suspended, so I think you can only run one of them. Also, an interesting one is, and I do play Pioneer, so Tybalt's Trickery is banned only in best of 1. Which is interesting that they decided to ban a card only in best of 1 and not in best of 3. As I don't play that much best of 3, I'm not sure why, because if there is any obvious sideboard options against Tybalt's Trickery that make it much easier to deal with in best of 3. So if you play best of 3 and Pioneer, please let me know in the comments what the theory is here. But while playing Pioneer, I have played against Tybalt's Trickery decks very rarely, to be honest. But when I did play against them, it was almost just like a coin toss. Because you either have the if I start and I'm Azorius controlled, then I have a better chance, or mono black with duress, or Azorius control with the counter magic, Dovin's Veto, or what's the other one? The blue-white one where you have to pay 3 more. What's it called again? Sometimes the cards, I always play them on a daily basis and I forget the name. But you know which one I mean. Basically counter magic. Can deal with that. But if you don't have that, or you're on the draw, it's over. And also, when I play against these decks, I realize I can see at the beginning of the game that they just mulligan very, very aggressively. So it's a gamble. It's really a gamble. So that's why they don't want to. The Wizards of the Coast, I think, is very clear on that. That they don't want to have decks around where you just mulligan for 2 specific cards and just win. So that one is. I don't think this deck got overhand yet, but it's just the concept that isn't really wanted, I guess. So that's fine by me. Historic, Counterspell, Unbanned. Also, I don't play Historic much, so I'm not sure what this means. I love Counterspell. I know it's a very good card, so not sure if that's going to be too much. But anybody who plays Historic and is watching this video, please let us know in the comments, for myself and anybody else, how you feel about that. Maybe what changes that might bring. Timeless, no changes. Brawl, no changes. So, all right, those are the changes overall. Yeah, standard. I think it's good. I'm okay with this. I'm kind of looking forward to a whole new standard. It's gonna make things more interesting, shake things up a bit. They were pretty aggressive here, and might be too aggressive for some to appreciate, but I'm okay with it. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen next. And yeah, so keep posted. I'll keep you posted. Stay tuned in on my next videos so we can explore the new meta together. And yeah, so I haven't read the whole explanation. I'm gonna read that, or even here, you can watch this on Twitch tomorrow, July 1st at 10 a.m. I'm not sure which time zone this is gonna be, so maybe if you wanna find out more, you can watch that for a very in-depth and thorough explanation by Wizards of the Coast. Also, there is already a explanation down here, so I'm going to share the link in the description below if you want to just get more info. But for now, this is enough. The video is not going to. I don't want this video to go too long. Just my thoughts and just informing you what's going on. These are the banned cards in Standard, and just my 2 cents here. And yeah, that's it. So, without further ado, thanks for watching, have fun, see you in the arena, and peace.